All right, and we are back here on the GSMC Football Podcast. And for the second part of the show, we're going to talk about the Tiki Barber, Saquon Barkley feud, if you want to call it. Um, so, yeah, earlier in the week, well, first of all, let me go back to last week. Um, so, on his radio show, basically he was saying that, if Saquon goes and signs with the Eagles, that he will be dead to him. And that's what ended up happening. So Tiki said, you're dead to me, Saquon. Now, again, you can analyze, like, if you go and watch the video on their Instagram page, on WFAN's Instagram page, um, the radio station here in New York, in case you didn't know that. But, again, you should, but, yeah, so if you watch it, I mean, he's smiling when he says that. So, I mean, like, was he joking? Yeah, I kind of being serious, but Saquon took it to Twitter and basically said, that Tiki's always been a hater since the Giants drafted him, and again, like I don't know what I guess they did have a relationship, while Saquon was with the Giants, um, but I think a lot of people were saying that. Again, Saquon said he's always been a hater, but when I was listening to the radio show, I mean, Tiki couldn't recollect, the reason for, him being a hater since Saquon got drafted. So, and really the thing is, the reason for it is just because, not because Saquon got paid, but because Saquon went to the Eagles. And yeah, there's been this whole debate the last week over it, and yeah, I mean, Saquon went to the Eagles. It's a division rival. And, of course, fans are going to be upset over it. Now, again, for me, as a Giant fan, I'm not devastated over this because right now the Giants are in no position to compete. Again, I like the moves that they've made on the defensive side of the ball. And, I mean, you bring in Devin Singletary to replace Saquon. Which, again, Singletary is not the player Saquon is, but at least you brought in someone that's coming off of a good year that could at least step in and provide some stability at that position. But yeah, the Giants they're not in a position to compete. They're still, there's a big gap between them, Philly, and Dallas. Now, again, the Commanders, the Giants always find a way to beat the Commanders. So I'm not really, it's going to be between them two for, third and fourth place in the division. But yeah, so I was fine with Saquon walking because I mean, you bring him in and you pay him all that money. Well, then you can't go out and trade for Brian Burns. There's just so many other areas that the Giants need to improve in. The offensive line, which they've addressed, they've added 2 offensive linemen. You got to figure out the quarterback situation. But now the other debate is the fact that should they have paid Saquon instead of Daniel Jones? And the answer is, yeah, probably should have. Probably should have. Because as much as Daniel Jones, he kind of took a step forward in 2022, Saquon Barkley was really the engine of that team. And Daniel Jones without Saquon Barkley is not very good. And now, look at the situation the Giants are in now. They got to bring in Drew Lock. They're probably going to have to draft a quarterback. And Daniel Jones tore his ACL, and we don't know when he's going to come back. I mean, he's going to come back, but it might not be at the start of the season. He has a chance to miss that. So, the Giants are in a messy situation. Again, I like the direction the defense is going in, but the offense, it's a work in progress, and it's been like that for a long time. But I feel like with now back to the Tiki and Saquon stuff, it definitely got blown out of proportion. And the problem is, and this happens a lot with a lot of different things, is you'll see like a snippet of something, and you don't, without any context, and then you just assume. And that's something that is a problem. Now, I think, I think Tiki was kind of joking, but, not really. Because, again, he went to a division rival. But yeah, this just got blown way out of proportion. Way out of proportion. And again, other things that have come out is, Tiki Barber speaking on this. Well, Tiki Barber had some things to say about Eli Manning, towards the end of his career. And then what happens? Eli Manning goes and wins 2 Super Bowls. That's at least on social media you see that. That, Tiki shouldn't be saying that. He left early, left the playoff team, and what did the Giants do? They ended up, again, they won the Super Bowl in 2007. And then, I don't think Tiki would have been playing till 2011, but, again, Eli went and won 2 Super Bowls. Because I saw, a clip, I don't know if it was, Peyton Manning, A Football Life or something, but, yeah, he was basically talking about Peyton, Tiki was, and just saying how, what a leader Peyton is, and he just, I don't know, he was saying how Eli isn't on, the same level as Peyton when it comes to that. And there was also that, another thing I saw was, Tiki had Eli, address the locker room, make a speech, and, he was saying Eli things. Because, yeah, when you hear Eli talk in a press conference, and, he stutters a lot and things but that's Eli. And, but listen, again, Eli won 2 Super Bowls. So whatever Eli says to motivate the team, it worked. It worked. But, yeah, so there was that too. But, again, I think it's not that big of a deal. And, again, Saquon shouldn't take it personal. Because, again, you went to a division rival. Now, again, when he comes and plays at MetLife Stadium, he's going to get booed. Absolutely, he's going to get booed. But that's only because he went to a division rival. So I understand that. That stings. That really does. But that's what he decided. He was getting paid a lot of money. The Eagles definitely overpaid for him. And especially when he's a guy that's been injured. But you know what? He adds another dimension to that team. Now, again, they probably could have got one of these other running backs at a cheaper price. And they would have been okay. Because, again, the Eagles have a good offensive line. And they have a lot of playmakers on that side of the ball. With A.J. Brown, with Devontae Smith, Jalen Hurts. Jalen Hurts could take the pressure off of the running backs, whoever's running the ball, because he could also take off and run with it as well. So, whatever the Eagles decide to do with the running back position, I think they would have, I shouldn't say whatever they decided to do, but, the names that were out there, you could have got cheaper, but at least some of them. But, they went and overpaid for Saquon. And listen, Saquon knows the area well. So, again, I don't really blame Saquon. But it just so happens that it's a team in the Giants division, which is why all this, started. But, yeah, that it happens in sports. You see players leave and go to another team. Not that they were rivals, but when LeBron James left Cleveland and went to Miami, and his first game back in Cleveland, they were booing him constantly when he had the ball in his first game back. Not that they are division rivals, the Heat and the Cavs, but again, LeBron left to go play with Dwayne Wade and Chris Bosh and comes back to Cleveland and he gets booed. It happens. This is a division rival. How many Yankees and Red Sox players have traded places? Jacoby Ellsbury, signed that big contract with the Yankees back in 2013, which I was not a fan of. And, goes back to Fenway, gets booed. But, again, those are two different sports. These are different sports that I'm talking about, but, that's, he's going to get booed when he goes back to MetLife. And this is not the first time the Eagles have done this. You go back to when DeMarco Murray had that great season in 2014. He was the leading rusher. And then what ended up happening? He signs with the Eagles. So, the Eagles have taken away some running backs. I'm trying to think. Did anybody from Washington go and play for the Eagles, running back wise? I don't think Alfred Morris did. I know Alfred Morris played for the Giants and the Cowboys, but he didn't. I don't think he played for the. He didn't play for the Eagles. I know he didn't play for the Eagles. Yeah, I can't really. Deshaun Jackson, I guess. Deshaun Jackson went. Well, actually, no. Deshaun Jackson did the reverse. He went from the Eagles to Washington, but then came back to the Eagles at later in his career. But yeah, I don't think this is that big of a deal. Again, it just gets blown out of proportion because, again, we live in a day and age with, again, you posted a snippet of what Tiki said. I mean, and all these players are mocking him. Patrick Queen went to the Steelers. Lamar Jackson said, "You're dead to me." I think, or did he say it to Geno Stone? That was another signing I actually didn't mention. Geno Stone, one of the guys in the Ravens secondary, he went to the Bengals. It was one of the two. They went to division rivals. Geno Stone went to the Bengals, and Patrick Queen went to the Steelers. But regardless, yeah, Lamar Jackson said it jokingly. That's really just been like on a lot of posts is "You're dead to me." It's just mocking what Tiki said. But again, I don't really think it's I don't think it's that big of a deal. And yeah, I mean, even Tiki said it's just the fact that he went to the Eagles. That's why. It has nothing to do with Saquon getting paid. That's what people want. You want to see Saquon get paid. He deserves it. As much as, again, he's missed a lot of time with injuries, he's a really good running back. But again, you went to a division rival. That's the problem. And that's it. And again, life goes on. Next year, Saquon's going to play twice against the Eagles. I thought it was funny, too, listening to the Michael Kay show or watching the Michael Kay show. And, a fan calls in and just says, "How are we going to watch the games next year? Saquon gave the Giants his all. The Eagles are going to come in and they're going to, smack the Giants around." And Don LaGreca's like, the Eagles were smacking the Giants around when they had Saquon. Now, again, they were competitive. Now, they smacked the Eagles around the final game of the regular season, and they almost came back against them on Christmas. But for the most part, lately, the Eagles have been the team. The Eagles and the Cowboys really have just, outclassed the Giants in a lot of ways. I mean, look at the Cowboys. Both games the Giants played against the Cowboys. 40-0, and what was it, like 49-17 the second game was? It's been like that for so long. The Giants have not won a game in Philadelphia since 2013. When they went to play them in the playoffs 2 years ago, I didn't think they were going to win. Or last year, I guess. I didn't think they were going to win. Because they have not won in that building since I was in middle school. But yeah, again, that's why letting Saquon go was not the worst thing in the world. Because you can address other areas. And you brought in another running back. Again, Singletary's not as good as Saquon, but again, provide some stability there. So, but let me know what you guys think about the whole Tiki Barber, Saquon Barkley feud. Is it really that big of a deal? Again, I don't think it really is, but let me know in the comments. So before we go into our next break, just want to remind you guys once again to tip or donate and get your comments recognized. Make sure to go to the following link. That is GSMCPodcast.net. Again, that really helps the show, makes the show more interactive between myself, the host, and you guys, the viewers. Again, that is GSMCPodcast.net. And as always, it is displayed on the ticker on the bottom of the show segment down below. So with that being said, we are going to take our second break of the show. And then when we come back, we will talk about the future of a couple of Michaels, Michael Thomas and Mike Williams. We'll talk about them, both of them getting released. And that is what we will discuss when we come back from our second break of the show. So with that being said, stick around and we'll be right back here on the GSMC Football Podcast.